Hello, welcome to another reading vlog. If I look tired, it's because I am. It's the end of the working day, but I did manage to squeeze some reading into my lunchtime today. So I started Over the Woodward Wall by A. Deborah Baker, although this is actually by Seanan McGuire. It's kind of the book within a book from Middle Game, except that there were only little snippets in Middle Game, and this is the whole story about these two children, Avery and Zib, who go to the Up and Under and travel the improbable road to the impossible city. So it's kind of just a very absurdist kind of story. It has a lot in common with Seanan McGuire's Wayward Children series in that it's about these children discovering a magical world, and it's very strange, and it's written in the same style with like kind of subtle social commentary woven through it. It's very lighthearted. I'm really enjoying it, and it's perfect for reading during the work week when my brain doesn't want anything heavy. It just wants some nice little fun. So that's good. Tonight I am going to try and finish it. I'm basically like alternating doing productive things and reading a chapter of this, so there's a good chance I'll finish it tonight. I really need to, because I also want to read The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Turton this week, and this is a chunky boy, so the sooner I get to it, the better. Also, I think this is due back at the library in a week or so I can't muck around too much. All I know about this so far is that it's like a Sherlock Holmes style murder mystery, except that it's all set on a boat and there's possibly some kind of demon involved. That might not be right, but hopefully I'll be able to tell you for sure soon. Also, audiobooks at the moment, I'm listening to the last audiobook for my secret library project, and to be honest, I'm not enjoying it. So hopefully I'll be able to get through that tomorrow. Will I drive to the office and back? Hopefully. And then I'm going to start on The Deck of Omens by Christine Lynn Herman. I had this in physical form, but I had to return it to the library. So now I've got the audiobook, and I really need to make sure I read it before it returns itself to the library. So that's pretty much my plans for my reading week. I'm going to go and be productive. Maybe. Hi, so I am home from work. It's kind of later than I wanted because I got a bit held up talking to some workmates about the morality of clones, and then I had to talk to my mentee for the last time from the local business school. So I'm running out of time for getting everything that I wanted to do tonight done, but I'm starting to get into things. Last night I didn't quite manage to finish this. I think I'm like 75% of the way through. I am really enjoying it, especially I can see that there's actually quite a lot of parallels with what happens in Middle Game, and that's making me really want to go back and read Middle Game and maybe even read both of them in parallel, but that seems like I don't have time for that, but it would be a really cool thing to do, I think. So in a little bit of time I have left tonight, I'm going to continue doing the thing where I read a chapter and do productive things. And then tomorrow I have my infusion, so I have the day off work. So I want to say I'm going to start The Devil in the Dark Water, but the honest truth is that Portia is moving out of my Animal Crossing island, and so I might just spend a lot of my spare time during my infusion searching for a new villager. That's probably not a good decision, but like, I can't be making good decisions all the time, or even any of the time, it seems. Hello, so I've just finished my infusion. I'm going to go and visit Jace and do some shopping before I head home and try to be productive, but I thought I would catch you up on reading. So last night I did finish Over the Woodward Wall, and honestly I'm kind of disappointed in the ending. I feel like it's setting up for a sequel or something, and maybe we'll get more books in that, but I was kind of expecting it to wrap things up, and now I'm questioning what the ending of Middle Game was like, because I don't remember exactly. Was it left somewhat open-ended? Anyway, it's something to be aware of going into that book, that they don't really complete the quest entirely. I still really enjoyed the reading experience, and I liked learning about the Improbable Road and the Impossible City, but I really wanted a better conclusion than what we got. So, not sure. But then on my drive over here, I did finally finish the last book of my secret library project, so hopefully you'll get that video soon. And then I was able to start the audiobook of Deck of Omens. I haven't read much more so far other than the introduction, where we're just following one particular family, and another one of the families has damaged their family tree, which I think is some kind of magical tree. I really have forgotten a lot about how this world works, so I think it's going to take me a little bit to get back into it. But that's okay. I think I haven't really told you in this video what that book's about, but basically we've got these 4 different founding families that all have different types of magic. Like, I think one is like prophecy type magic, another one is like stone magic, and I've forgotten the other types of magic. Is there only 4 families? Oh no, 4 families, yeah. Anyway, I'll listen to a little bit more and then I'll give you a proper summary of what's going on, because I think I've forgotten most of it. Also, in my infusion, as I expected, I spent most of my time on Animal Crossing and sending a few work emails, even though I'm not working today. But I did read the first 2 chapters of The Devil in the Dark Water. And so what I figured out is we're following this alchemist and his bodyguard. And the alchemist is some kind of prisoner, and they're being taken on this ship, I think back to Britain, because the Governor General is like the captain of the ship, maybe, and he's going back to Britain as well, I think, to become part of this Gentleman 17 that is the leadership group. So just before they're about to get on the ship, there is this leper who gives them this warning about how there is some kind of evil presence on the ship and they shouldn't go on the ship. But then they realize that this leper actually has no tongue, and so it's not really possible that he could have given this warning. So it's all very dark and mysterious, and hopefully I'll be able to read some more of this today. But right now I'm going to be driving, so I'm back to Deck of Omens, I guess. So, yesterday on my way home, I stopped by the library to return a couple of books. And on my way there, I decided to stop at the Salvation Army shop. And I ended up buying 5 books, but they were only 50 cents each. So that's good. Also, there's quite a lot of Robin Hobb ones, and I really like Robin Hobb. So I'll probably save the details for the haul that I'm going to be filming soon. But I'm excited. What I am thinking though is I'm looking at my TBR cart, and I'm running out of space. So I think what I'm going to do is take all the ones that are blocked because they're later books in the series. I'm going to take them all off, and I'm just going to have on my TBR cart the ones that I could pick up and read at any time. And we'll see how that goes. Right now I'm actually trying to put together a video that I thought was going to be really quick, but instead it's taken me all night to film and edit it. So I guess it wasn't quick, but I have taken a couple of breaks, and like when I was working and doing other stuff, I was listening to Deck of Omens, so I'm like 60% of the way through, 55%. And I mean, it's okay. I think partially I should have read the physical book and not listened to the audiobook, because I don't really like the narration style. It's that kind of thing where it reads everything like it's very dramatic, even like just the normal kind of slow parts of the story. Everything's dramatic, and it just makes everything boring because there's no dynamics to the situation. As well, even though there is this whole magical mystery going on, a lot of it is just about these teen relationships, and it's not terrible, but it's just not something that particularly interests me. I suspect that a lot of people will like the bi representation, and there's probably some good lessons in it, but I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I'm not hating my reading experience, but I'm not super excited by it. Can you hear my computer? Because it's right now making a lot of noise. Anyway, also last night, I think I only managed to read like a chapter of this, so I'm not much further through. Basically, all that happened last night was the captain refused to take anyone's warnings into account, and they're gonna go out into the ocean anyway. Also, I think yesterday I was saying that they were traveling back to Britain. That's not right. They're traveling back to Amsterdam. I would say I'm gonna read some more of this tonight, but I'm looking at the time and how much more I've got to do on this video, and I think I'm gonna run out of time. However, tomorrow I I did think I was going to have to go into the office, but I don't now, which gives me a bit of time in the morning perhaps to do some reading. My only problem is that normally in the morning I would do reading while like walking around with the book. This book's just a little bit too fat for that. Maybe it'll be good exercise for my arms. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Hi, so I lost a couple of days there. Didn't do much reading, but I do have a couple of things to update you on. Firstly, look at my TBR cart. I put all the books that I have left to read on it. On this side, this is all the ones that I can read. The ones that are blocked, I'm thinking I'm going to put them on the back actually, because I've got none on the back. But I'm pretty impressed that this is it. At the moment, this is all the books I have to choose from. Imagine if I got through all of them. It would be super exciting. And then I can start on these other random piles of books that are around my lounge. But let's ignore those. Also, in news that is much more mixed, my copy of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue arrived. Yay, except, you know how sometimes Book Depository just ships in those brown cardboard wrappings? That's what this came on. Of course, it came on the one day that it rained really heavily. It was up in my letterbox, so it got quite wet. I've had it under a big pile of books, so it's not as crinkly as it was, but it is still a little bit damp. And you can see that there's water damage on the pages, and especially it's got this green end pages, and they've like all bled into the pages. So I'm quite disappointed because this was a $46 book, 46 New Zealand dollars, and that's quite a lot. I wouldn't normally spend that much on a book, but since this was a new release and I was excited about it, I spent that much money, and for it to come in not perfect condition, I think I'm going to complain, but I don't know that they will do anything about it, unfortunately. I mean, it's still going to be readable once it dries. It's just annoying because this was meant to be like a beautiful book on my shelf, and it still probably will look beautiful from the outside, I guess. But I wanted it to be perfect, and I'm annoyed. Also, I probably won't have time to read this until December, but I am going to try and stick it on my December TBR. So let's forget about that. Let's talk about reading. I have finished The Deck of Omens, and I just feel like I really should have read the physical copy. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I think it was still fine. There were a few like twists and turns about how things were actually working in this town with these founders and their magical powers, and what was going on with the beast that they had trapped in the grey. But I didn't really like how the characters kind of ended up like paired off to some degree, and it was just much more about their relationships than it was about the magic. That's maybe not entirely fair, but I got a little bit bored. I also feel like the first book, even though it was multiple perspectives, we were much more focused on this character Violet learning about the town because she just moved back to it. But this one, I felt like we barely got any of Violet at all. And I almost feel like because it was so split across all the different perspectives, it stopped me from feeling particularly engaged with any of their stories. However, I do think most people who like the first book will probably like the second book too. Like, it wasn't bad. It was fine. But I think I've just read some really amazing adult fantasy lately, and so compared to that, it wasn't quite what I wanted. So tonight, I don't have much else to do. I'm primarily going to focus on trying to make some progress on this. I am not that far through, still just a few chapters in. But I think tonight I've just got a little bit of video stuff to do, and then I can spend the whole night reading. There's not much left of the night to go, and I need to go to bed early because tomorrow I have to take my car to get its Warrant of Fitness, which is scary, and hopefully it will pass. But I want to do that first thing in the morning before things get busy, so I can't stay up too late. But I guess we'll see how exciting this book is, because if it's exciting, I might make bad decisions and stay up late reading. Okay, so last night I got just over 100 pages into The Devil and the Dark Order, learning about some of the connections between the different characters, as well as some of them have some interesting secrets from their past, and also like some mysteries in their past that I think are going to be explained in this book. Also, like, this alchemist guy is a lot like Sherlock Holmes in that he's able to just like magically observe things and solve mysteries, and he's really great at asking the right questions. And then this bodyguard that's looking after him is the Watson character, clearly because he has been writing accounts of these murders they've been solving. So that's very Sherlock and Watson. But we also learnt that that Watson type character, he has some secrets and some mysteries going on. Really interested to see how that's all going to play out. I think my computer just fell asleep or crashed. Suspicious. Anyway, I'm going to be doing video stuff the rest of tonight, so I'm going to do the read a chapter, do one productive thing all night, and hopefully get further in this. But I did realize I ran some maths, and it's okay if I take a few more days to finish this off, so I don't need to rush. I'm still on track to read everything this month, which is way better than I did last month, so that's good. As well, while I went out and did some errands this morning, firstly, my car almost got its warrant of fitness. Not quite. Apparently it's got a screw in one of its tires, but like, at least nothing is like mechanically wrong with it, which is what I'm always afraid of. So I will have to get that fixed next week, but generally good news. So while I was doing all of that, I was listening to The Golden Tower by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. Did I talk about it yesterday? I don't remember. Getting into it, I was kind of confused about what was going to happen in this book because I remembered that last book, almost everything was wrapped up. There is one kind of open thread, but I was like, how is this open thread going to lead to an interesting story? However, I am now 2.5 hours in and something just happened that is clearly going to be the big exciting thing that we have to overcome. So that is cool. So I'm looking forward to reading more of that. I don't know how much of that I'll read today. It might be saved for next week. But right now, I better go and be productive. Hello. So somehow it's Tuesday night and I lost track of things again. I think because I had to go into town on Monday for work. Anyway, regardless, I think it's time we finish this vlog out. What has happened since I last talked to you? Firstly, I finished off The Golden Tower and I really liked it. I'm still not entirely sure that I think the final moral dilemma was solved in a moral way, but it's arguable that it was okay. And also there's a part where all the adults send these kids off to fight the bad guy and like, really? None of the adults have more magical skill than these kids? Really? But like this is quite middle grade, so we'll forgive that. I really enjoyed it. I mean, maybe not anything mind-blowing, but it was a lot of fun and I liked that series and I'm impressed with myself for finishing off a series, so that's good. Other than that, I've read a little bit more of The Devil in the Dark Water and I have to say, like, I think I'm about a quarter of the way in, 150 pages, and it's been an interesting setup, but I kind of feel like we're still just doing setup. It feels like something might happen soon, but honestly, if something doesn't happen soon, I'm going to start getting a little bit annoyed because I've had enough setup. I'm ready to get going with more of the mystery. So far they're really just like trying to guess how this person might sink the ship, but they're really just guessing that's what's going to happen anyway, so nothing bad has actually happened on the ship yet. Not really. But regardless, I'm going to be trying to finish this off next week. So check in on my next vlog if you want to find out more about my thoughts about that. And of course, if you have read any of the other books that I talked about in this vlog, I'd love to talk with you more about them down in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me this week. I hope that you are doing well and I will see you next time.